Hey, hey everyone! Welcome back to What Was I Thinking? The series where I, your possibly unhinged author, revisit my novel, Where Lines Blur, chapter by agonizing chapter, and try to figure out, well, what I was thinking. If you're new here, grab some coffee, maybe some questionable snacks, and settle in. We get weird. Today, we're diving headfirst into Chapter 1, Static Cling. Oh boy, Static Cling. Even the title sounds vaguely uncomfortable. Like that feeling when your skirt is determined to become one with your thighs on a dry day. Anyway, now, before we begin this journey into questionable life choices and fluorescent lighting, your regularly scheduled spoiler warning. Seriously, people. If you have not yet read Chapter 1 of Where Lines Blur, what are you even doing here? Shoo! Scram! Go hit that link in the description, grab the book from Amazon or your favorite indie spot, immerse yourself in the small town angst, and then come back here. Otherwise, prepare for spoilers of the highest order. I'm talking ruining plot points, character motivations, maybe even the secret ingredient in the slushing machine. You have been warned. Don't say I didn't caution you when you find yourself yelling at your screen because I just revealed a crucial detail about someone's eyeballs. Okay? Ready? Because Chapter 1, it sets the stage for so much yearning, so much frustration, and introduces the queen of complicated feelings herself, Jo. We're talking simmering crushes, terrible bosses, secret girlfriends. Strap in. Let's find out. Together. What was I thinking? Alright, Chapter 1. The Corner Stop. Can we just talk about the oppressive hum of fluorescent lights for a second? I swear, writing those scenes, I feel that low-level buzz deep in my bones. It's the official soundtrack of minimum wage misery, isn't it? And the AC Wars. Scott Vance, our resident antagonist in training, keeping it Arctic just to watch Jo shiver. I mean, come on. Scott is peak small power tyrant, isn't he? Writing him was cathartic. I may have channeled one or two truly awful managers from my past. Okay, maybe. Let's just say, if you've ever worked retail or food service, Scott probably feels uncomfortably familiar. Sorry? Not sorry? There's Alex. Oh, Alex Miller. The quiet guy restocking the chip aisle like it's a sacred duty. Whiskey-colored eyes, messy hair, muscles moving under a worn t-shirt. Even I was kind of swooning writing him. Is it obvious? Probably. I wanted him to feel real, you know? Not like some polished Ken doll, but like that guy you actually know. The one with a bit of roughness, bit of mystery. The one who seems to see more than he says. The static cling? Okay. Yes, my mom used to say that. And maybe it's cheesy, but it felt right for Jo. That inexplicable pull. That feeling that just being near someone could potentially lead to electrocution. We've all been there, right? Maybe without the actual risk of shock, hopefully. So, Jo's just trying to survive her shift. Ignore Scott's truly appalling nickname, Jo. Seriously. Scott, read the room. And maybe catch Alex's eye without spontaneously combusting. Relatable content, folks. And Scott's casual leering. Ugh. Writing those bits made my skin crawl. It was important to show that subtle, everyday awfulness that so many people, especially young women, face in workplaces like that. The way you feel like you can complain because he's the owner's son. The way you just try to deflect and survive. It's exhausting, and Jo is already exhausted just trying to figure out her life. Now, the bike ride home. The holy grail of awkward teenage transportation. Perched sideways on that metal rack. My back aches just thinking about it. But also, the forced proximity. Her arms around his waist, cheek against his t-shirt, inhaling his laundry detergent mixed with sawdust. Okay, listen, I needed a scent for him. Something warm and real. Sawdust felt right. Don't judge my process. It involved a lot of sniffing random things around my house. Anyway, that ride is Joe's 10 minutes of pure, unadulterated hope and potential agony. And the B&R conversations. Blackwood and Royce, the gleaming escape hatch on the horizon. Joe's desperation to get in, contrasted with her moronic stepbrother Travis waltzing in. The cosmic unfairness. I remember feeling that way sometimes. Like the universe was playing favorites, usually favoring the obnoxious ones. Putting that frustration on felt really important. It fuels so much of Joe's drive, her being stuck. And Alex, he just gets it. He sees how much she wants it. He believes in her. Swoon. Minimal swoon, but still. But then, the driveway scene. Oh, Josephine. My sweet, terrified child. The moment is right there. The streetlight, the quiet street, the lingering warmth, the maybe this time feeling. And she chokes, fiddles with her backpack strap, says, "See you tomorrow?" I wanted to scream. Why are we like this? Why is it so hard to just say the thing? Writing that, I was definitely channeling every single time I chickened out of saying something important. It's painful, but it's real, isn't it? That fear of rejection, of messing up the comfortable silence, and then the twist. The reason for the choke, Mia, her girlfriend, Scott Vance's twin sister, because obviously, I had to make it as messy as humanly possible. What was I thinking adding that layer? Honestly, maximum drama. That secret relationship is the anchor weighing Joe down. The complication that makes the Alex situation feel 10 times more impossible. Poor Joe. Trying to navigate first love, secret love, and forbidden sparks all while working in a freezing convenience store. No wonder she's a mess. I remember writing that final scene, Joe pulling out the B&R brochure, getting the text from Mia. The sheer weight of her conflicting feelings felt so heavy. Wanting Mia's safety and familiarity, wanting Alex's electric uncertainty. How do you choose? Can you even choose? That's the question chapter 1 leaves us with, really. That and whether Scott Vance will ever wear a shirt that fits properly. Probably not. So that was chapter 1. Static cling. We've got yearning, a truly terrible boss, a secret girlfriend, and a boy with whiskey eyes who might just complicate everything. What happens next? Does Joe ever tell Alex the truth? Does she get off the B&R waitlist? Does Scott ever learn basic human decency? All right, survivors, are you ready? Because chapter 2 is where Joe starts actively making things worse for herself. Bless her heart. We've got unresolved tension thick enough to spread on toast, family drama, and the sweet, sweet relief of an acceptance letter arriving at the perfectly wrong time. Let's find out together. What was I thinking? Okay, chapter 2. Fading signals. This chapter is basically the sound of Joe digging herself deeper, with a shovel made of awkwardness and avoidance. That opening scene, Joe leaning her forehead against the door after Alex leaves. I felt that. That post-almost kiss, post-rejection wave of, oh God, what have I done? Followed immediately by, why didn't I just say the thing? It's a mood. And leaving those wildflowers he picked just sitting there awkwardly in a glass. Peak tragic comedy. Writing the work scenes after the kiss was painful in the best way. I wanted that silence between Joe and Alex to feel heavy, loaded. Like you could practically see the unresolved static crackling between the cereal boxes. Every accidental brush of hands had to feel like a minor electric shock. It's that specific kind of torture where you have to be near the person you have complicated feelings for, but you can't actually talk about it. Brutal. I might have drawn on some, personal experiences there. Maybe. And Scott Vance. Oh, Scott. He just gets worse, doesn't he? Like a fungus. His delight in their obvious tension, the way he corners Joe by the freezer. Ugh. Writing him makes me want to take a shower. But here's the kicker. Alex doesn't step in this time. Why? What was I thinking there? Part of me wanted to show that Joe's signals, her pushing Alex away, had consequences. Maybe he was hurt. Maybe he was confused. Maybe he just decided, not my circus, not my monkeys anymore. Or maybe he was just done with the whole corner stop drama, focusing on getting out. It felt important to show that his quiet protectiveness wasn't unconditional, that Joe's actions had ripples. Plus, it isolates Joe even more, raising the stakes. Then, the bike ride stop. Ouch. That little slice of hopeful intimacy? Gone. Just a curt nod goodbye. I remember thinking about how small changes like that can feel huge when you're already feeling insecure. The walk home alone with just the cicadas and her own thoughts, that felt like dialing up the isolation, emphasizing what she felt she was losing, even if she couldn't admit she wanted it. And the parallel fading signal. Mia. The phone calls getting shorter, the strain in Mia's voice. Joe's trapped in this web of her own making. She can't be honest with Mia because of Alex, and she couldn't be honest with Alex because of Mia. So she just lies. Badly. Twisting the phone cord, making excuses. It's classic self-sabotage. You want to shake her, but you also kind of get it, right? The fear of confession, of hurting someone you care about, even if the secrecy is hurting them anyway. Then we pile on the family pressure. Dad suggesting community college. Oh, the horror. For Joe, B&R isn't just a school. It's escape. It's validation. It's not being stuck. And the unfairness of Travis, her dipstick stepbrother, getting to go while she might not. That sibling rivalry, the feeling of being second best in your own home, especially with the step-parent dynamic. I wanted that frustration to feel real, palpable. It adds another layer to why getting into B&R feels like life or death for her. Okay, let's talk about Alex leaving. That goodbye scene at the counter. Agony. I rewrote that little exchange like 5 times. How do you capture that seeing someone go, knowing things are unresolved, wanting to say more but being totally paralyzed? Take care of yourself. You too. It's so simple, but hopefully it lands with the weight of everything left unsaid. And then he's just gone. Poof. Off to the escape hatch she's still desperately clinging to. And then the acceptance letter arrives, right after he leaves. What was I thinking with that timing? Pure, unadulterated dramatic irony, my friends. She gets her dream, the thing she wanted more than anything, but it's immediately tainted. Alex is already gone, starting his life there. And the phone call with Mia? Ooh, Mia's weird reaction, that hesitation, that lack of enthusiasm. Are you sure you still want to go? Together, I mean? Red flags. Red flags everywhere. We know Joe's been hiding things, but clearly Mia is too. The plot, as they say, thickens. Or maybe curdles. So Joe packs up her life, says goodbye to her awkward family situation, and gets on that bus. That final image of her looking at her reflection, bracing for impact. That felt right. She's not heading off to a bright new future. She's heading into the eye of her own self-created hurricane. B&R isn't just ivy-covered walls. It's the collision course she set in motion back in Chapter 1. I definitely listened to a lot of Bon Iver and The National while writing this chapter. I needed maximum melancholic yearning vibes to get through Joe's internal monologue and those awkward goodbyes. My neighbors probably thought I was going through a terrible breakup. Chapter 2. Emotional whiplash, anyone? So, Joe is finally heading to B&R, but under a cloud of guilt, secrets, and unresolved everything. What do you think is going to happen when she gets there? Is Mia hiding something major? Will Alex even talk to her? Let me know your predictions, your frustrations, your thoughts on terrible bosses in the comments below. And have you ever had a super awkward goodbye like Joe and Alex? Share to cringe. Until next time, keep reading, keep questioning, and try not to get stuck in emotional quicksand like Joe. Okay, inoculated against spoilers. Awesome. Because Chapter 3 is where Joe's carefully compartmentalized life slams face first into reality. We're talking culture shock, instant drama, and the realization that escaping her hometown doesn't mean escaping her problems. Oh, Joe, what were you thinking? Let's find out together. What was I thinking? All right, Chapter 3. Joe arrives at Blackwood and Royce, the promised land. Ivy-covered walls, manicured lawns, students looking effortlessly chic and immediately intimidating. I wanted B&R to feel like a completely different planet compared to her hometown. That sense of old money, ambition, unspoken rules. It's designed to make Joe, and maybe the reader, feel instantly out of her depth. Culture shock level, expert. And then, room 214. Enter Trent Davison. Trent. Oh my god. Writing Trent was maybe too much fun. Where did he come from? Honestly, I think I just channeled every passive-aggressive, entitled person I've ever encountered. Threw in some expensive hair gel and a trust fund, and voila! Trent. His immediate dismissal of Joe, this is a single routine despite the overwhelming evidence of a second bed. Peak absurdity. I was probably cackling while writing that. I need my space for studying and other things. What other things, Trent? We may never know, but it's fun to imagine, right? Probably polishing his collection of vintage smears. Giving Joe the absolute worst possible roommate felt necessary. Like the universe just piling it on. What was I thinking? Probably, how can I make Joe's life harder within the first 5 minutes? Mission accomplished. But wait, the universe isn't done. Because who walks in right after Trent establishes his reign of terror? Mia, her girlfriend, the one Alex knows nothing about. Surprise. I know, it's almost cruel, right? Dropping Mia right into the middle of the roommate nightmare. But it felt essential to immediately establish that collision course I mentioned. No easing into it. Joe steps onto campus, and bam, hostile roommate. Bam, secret girlfriend who has no idea she's secret in relation to someone else. The awkwardness. The internal screaming Joe must be doing. And Mia is just so bubbly, oblivious, excited about fadas and professors who smell like mothballs. That contrast felt important too. Mia seems, at first glance, to be thriving, or at least adapting, already focused on her B&R goals, namely, infiltrating Mathadas for that sweet, sweet potential tuition help. It immediately highlights Joe's feeling of being behind, overwhelmed, already tangled up before she's even unpacked. The campus tour and the Greek life rundown. Okay, confession time. Inventing frat names is harder than it looks. Gamma, 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 sigma, alpha, sigma, omega, nu, alpha, kappa, iota, delta. I probably spent an hour just trying to make acronyms sound vaguely plausible. And the stereotypes, nerds, jocks, preps, wildcards, it's classic college hierarchy, dialed up maybe to 11 for dramatic effect. Was I worried it was too much, too fast? Maybe a little. But B&R is supposed to feel overwhelming. A complex ecosystem Joe has to navigate blindfolded. Plus, setting up the kids versus Sigma's feud early on felt important for later. Explosions. And the Sienna encounter. Ooh. Our Theta president. Regal. Intimidating. Having boyfriend drama with Chase, Neanderthal Daniels. Joe stepping in to study her felt like a small, instinctive moment of connection. But Sienna's reaction, that calculating look, the offer of a favor? What was I thinking planting that seed? Setting up future intrigue, obviously. Sienna doesn't seem like someone who forgets a debt or misses an opportunity. That little interaction is a tiny domino pushed over, trust me. Then, the dining hall scene. The classic, spotting your crush across a crowded room while your secret girlfriend chats beside you trope. Maximum angst. Seeing Alex already integrated with the kids, laughing with Russ Blackwood, another name to remember, while Joe feels totally adrift. Yeah, I went there. It highlights their diverging paths already. He seems to be finding his place, while she's still trying to figure out where the bathrooms are and how to avoid her roommate. And Dylan, Mia's twin, he just barrels in full of chaotic energy, immediately trying to recruit Joe for kid parties. He's the opposite of Mia's careful planning, just pure impulse. Having him immediately connect Joe to the kids, the frat Alex is joining, the frat her stepbrother is in, more tangled webs. Because why make things simple? Finally, the text exchange with Alex. Oof. That delicate dance of trying to reconnect after awkwardness. Hey, roommate sitch is weird. Mine's okay. And Alex trying to clear the air about the kiss. My bad. No, Alex. It wasn't your bad. It was Joe's inability to communicate. But him taking the blame, Joe accepting it without clarifying, it's more avoidance, more smokescreens. That maybe see you around? Yeah, maybe. It's so non-committal it hurts. The signal is definitely fading, folks. Creating the B&R atmosphere involved looking at way too many pictures of old East Coast universities online. I basically wanted to bottle the feeling of Ivy, old money, and low-key existential dread you get from walking across a quad older than your country. I also may have listened to the Social Network soundtrack for inspiration on that privileged, ambitious vibe. So, Chapter 3 throws Joe into the B&R deep end. Nightmare roommate? Check. Awkward girlfriend encounter? Check. Confusing frat politics? Check. Seeing your crush thriving while you flounder? Double check. What did you think of Trent? Did you have a roommate horror story like that? What are your first impressions of the Greek scene at B&R? Let me know all your thoughts down below. And stick around, because things are only going to get more complicated from here. See you next time for more What Was I Thinking?